There are many different producers whose sound has defined the modern era of underground hip-hop greatness, but my personal favorite is Nicholas Craven. He's one of the few producers in the game who I can hear one of his beats and know immediately that it's by him without even looking at the credits. Over the past decade, he's built a signature sound that has provided the backdrop for many of the best hip-hop of this time. Growing up in Canada, Craven was not destined to be a major piece of American hip-hop culture, but through his insane work ethic and his immaculate sonic instincts, he's become a defining force in the underground scene that has been running underground hip-hop for the better part of a decade. He grew up playing piano and guitar, but his hip-hop roots can be traced back to one specific day around 2009, when his friend's brother introduced him to Raekwon, MF Doom, and the art of sampling all in the same day. And since then, he's carved out a very nice spot within the underground hip-hop landscape. But as a producer, his sound is intertwined with so many different artists from around the scene. So I figured what better way to understand Nicholas Craven than to understand the artists who he frequently works with. So when this video is through, you will understand Nicholas Craven through 7 of the illest MCs in the game. Roc Marciano. When Craven was first getting into production, he was inspired by bigger, still soulful, but more mainstream acts like Dr. Dre and Just Blaze. But it was around 2013 when he heard Roc Marciano's album Reloaded and fell in love with the drumless sound. He has called Roc Marciano the greatest modern-day hip-hop producer, and he modeled his sound after what Roc perfected here. Craven doesn't only make drumless beats, but that's the style that he's most known for at this time. He has an incredible ear, always able to find the most infectious loop of a song to chop up and make a whole new piece of art. When he makes a drumless beat, even though it's lacking drums, the beat itself is never lacking. In fact, the beat always feels full and produced, even when they're at their most simple. Craven ended up flipping Roc's voice on the song Cognac Phantoms on a 2016 remix album, and it proved that their style would mesh effortlessly. So when he was putting together his first official producer project at the tail end of 2017, it's no surprise that it would start off with the first official collaboration from him and Roc. Wolfing Down is a perfect showcase of what these artists do great. It's classy with this peaceful piano sample, and simple but mesmerizing. This album was a major step for Craven, with verses from Westside Gunn, Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, Sheek Louch, and Planet Asia. It was really the first showcase of his skills with this level of world-class MCs, and the tone was set by his chemistry with Roc. The two have collaborated on a few joints over the years, but I'm just waiting on a full-length collaboration between these two. Jimmy D. He might be the least well-known of the MCs we cover here today, but he honestly might be the most important to the story of Nicholas Craven. He's based out of Montreal just like Nick, and they came up together. In fact, they met working in a warehouse back in 2013. Around that time when Craven was refining his sound as a producer, Jimmy was finding his sound as an MC, and they were finding it together. His style is laid back and cool, with a conversational flow that sits so nicely over Craven's beats. Their 2016 album Trout and Brussels Sprouts was the first full album that Craven produced for an MC, really paving the way for the next decade of Craven's career. Over the years, Jimmy has released 5 albums and 2 mixtapes, all of which were produced entirely by Craven himself, so their catalogs are as intertwined with anyone's. As Nicholas Craven's career goes on and he works with more and more artists, the fact that he keeps on coming back to work with Jimmy D means something. Jimmy has one of the more unique flows and deliveries that I've heard in the modern day, and every time these two link up, it's just special. The God Fahim. Craven first heard the God Fahim around 2015 when he was getting into the Griselda sound. He heard Fahim's album Black Pearl with Camouflage Monk and immediately knew that he needed to work with him. He sent Fahim a beat pack, and Fa hit him back with a positive but lukewarm response. But that wasn't good enough for Craven, so he went back and listened to everything he could by Fahim, studying what makes him great and what type of beats he needs. He came back and sent Fahim a new beat, tailor-made just for him, and Fahim came back just a few hours later with a finished recording that would end up being the song Nosferatu. The God Fahim is the hardest working rapper in hip-hop, releasing over 140 albums in 10 years, and Craven is right there with him. If there's any producer in the world who can keep up with Fahim as he's going on one of his dumping sprees, it's Nicholas Craven. Together they have released around 24 projects, with almost 20 coming in the last year and a half alone. But it's not just about the quantity with these two. Their music hits a level of soul speaking that consistently hits the highest highs of this scene. Fahim's high-pitched voice cuts right through the angelic samples that Craven pieces together in the most amazing way. It's hard to pick one MC partnership that best highlights what Craven does best, but with the incredible display of quality and quantity that these two put together, it's hard to argue against Fahim. Ransom. The year that really put Craven on the map was 2020, largely because of his work with Ransom. Ran, who was more or less retired at the time, came out of retirement because Craven's beats inspired him so much. They released 5 projects together in 2020 and 2 more in 2023, particularly those first 2 Director's Cut EPs, which led to the third and probably best, which was more of a full-length outing. These 3 records signified that Ransom was back, and Nicholas Craven was a force to be reckoned with on the boards. Their work together feels so grand and cinematic. The branding of this partnership takes a lot of cues from classic films, from the cover art to the track titles, and the music lives up to that. There's a gravitas to Ransom's delivery that hits so hard over the Craven beats that he uses. Craven has called their 2020 work his magnum opus, and I agree. This is the partnership that originally introduced me to the music of Nicholas Craven, and they are one of the best duos of this decade of hip-hop to me. Mach-Hommy. Being from Montreal, Nicholas Craven's first language wasn't English, it was French. This has given him a special bond with an artist like Mach-Hommy, whose Haitian roots make him very inspired by French culture, even switching between rapping in English, Haitian Creole, and French at times while on the mic. But their shared appreciation for this love language isn't the only thing that makes their collaborative partnership so fruitful. Mach-Hommy raps with a melodic style of delivery, and his vocal chops always pair so nicely with Craven's beats. Craven brings out the soul from Mach's sound, and Mach brings a grand feeling out of the production. From the beautiful layering of Mozambique drill, to the bilingual barrage of bars on top of the magnificent chops of Criminel, to the sheer energy that they're able to harness over those horn samples on Laboo. It's always special when they link up. I think Mach sounds exceptionally dope on Craven production that includes drums as well, which many people may not realize. Squeaky hinge and separation of the sheep and goats are 2 of my favorites in that regard. Even on the Your Old Droog song Scooby Snacks, where Mach hops in only to provide the hook, the combination of the soul sample, those drums, and Mach's uniquely fire crooning works so amazingly well here. Akhenaton. Speaking of Craven's French roots, he also has many ties to French hip-hop. The American hip-hop scene can be very narrow-sighted, not really paying attention to what goes on in the scenes of other countries, but Craven is probably the one bridge between the modern scenes of America and France. He's produced a number of records for French-speaking rappers, most notably his 2 Latin Quarters albums with Akhenaton. Akhenaton is something of a French hip-hop legend, being active in the 80s, so him linking up with Craven for a pair of albums in 2022 was a cosign that not only linked him to modern French hip-hop, but also linked him to a decades-old history within hip-hop's veins. But the coolest thing for me about these collaborations is the fact that I don't speak French, and they still sound dope. Craven's beats transcend the barriers of language, and sound good no matter what language you speak. Hip-hop is typically a culture and art form that is very intertwined with language, so it's rare to have an appreciation for something that you can't even understand. Akhenaton comes through with an incredible flow that sounds good no matter what language you speak, and Craven's work sounds great around the world no matter who's rapping on it. Boldy James. The latest artist who has forged a legendary duo with Nicholas Craven is Boldy James. There's a hypnotic monotony to Craven's beats that works perfectly with the rhyme style of Boldy James. Their work is almost like a mirror image of each other. The beats and flows draw you in with a familiar feeling that is more and more infectious the more you listen. Their first record together, Fair Exchange No Robbery, is as close to a modern classic within this scene that I could personally find. The sound of this thing is such a great showcase of what makes both of these artists special. 36 minutes of Craven stringing together a sequence of sensational soul samples that provide the perfect backdrop for Boldy to weave his life story onto wax. After Boldy nearly lost his life in a severe car crash, Craven was right there to help him get better as a friend and brother, but also as a musical partner, and he gave Boldy the batch of beats that he needed to tell his story again, now with a new view on life. So far in his career, Nicholas Craven has been able to get the best out of each artist who he works with. He's released a few instrumental projects over the years, but it really is his work with these elite MCs that have made him one of the most exciting young producers in the game. As long as there is soul to be sampled, Nicholas Craven will be there to chop it up in the best way possible. But if there's one thing you should take away from this video, it's this: no sample snitching. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Tried a little something different here. Let me know if there's any other producers you'd like to see me do something special with, where I sort of talk about their career in relation to the rappers who they've worked with. I'd like to give a special shout out to each and every one of my patrons. Head over to patreon.com/DefGoldblum if you want to get more exclusives. All my videos are released there up to a week early. I also release playlists, podcasts talking about all the music I've been listening to. And I do giveaways over there. It's a lot of fun. So check that out if you're interested. Shout out to Noah Young, who sponsored this video as a member of our Living Legends tier. I cannot do any of this stuff without my patrons. It's Thanksgiving season, so I really want to emphasize how thankful I am for all my patrons. They make it possible for me to do this month after month. We are approaching the end of the year, so let me know down in the comments what is some stuff you want to see me before this year closes out. As always, I got a lot more headed your way, so stay tuned, stay safe, and stay def. Thanks for watching.